Do you guys ever get the feeling that at this point, Todd McFarlane and his company will send out these figures and be like, "This is my Batman AU, do not steal"? Like, that kind of energy? Straight from the halls of Todd McFarlane's Mind Palace, somewhere in between making Spider-Man kinky and some weird Spawn bullshit, we have a caveman Batman and a deep-sea diver Mr. Freeze. So, no idea what this is. I saw that DC Direct were doing these figures. There's also a Robin and a Batgirl in this wave. I only found Batman and Mr. Freeze at the store so far. I think they look really cool, but to my understanding, kind of like the Flash page punchers from a while back, they're from a comic book that McFarlane did, so you don't necessarily know who these characters are or their story. It's just like, buy the toy, get the comic. And it's like, man, that's one way to do it, I guess. By the way, just a small gripe here. I hate packaging like this so much. I'm so happy we're moving away from it. But of course, McFarlane Toys has to keep the bullshit alive a little bit longer. Yeah, I'm just gonna cut this shit out and hope I don't, accidentally stab myself in the process. The comic was in a separate plastic tray. It was even harder to get out than the figure. So basic gist, spoiler, I guess, for this gripping work. Mr. Freeze is in 1876. He somehow manages to go back in time with Nora. He freezes things, seemingly accidentally. Like, I don't think he wants to do it, he just kind of accidentally does it. And then, there's like a Batman tribe, there's a Robin tribe, and they go and they, murder an old man in a scuba suit. So, that's what I always like. I always love seeing Mr. Freeze die. Really glad that's how they went here. Literally like something you would see like a 4th or 5th grader write as their Batman AU. That's just wonderful. Oh, even better, we got the card. What does the card say? Wow. It's just talking about the comic. I was hoping that maybe they'd talk a little bit more about the character. No, it's the synopsis for the book they already friggin' gave me. I'm just gonna say now, why are there fucking plastic ties in here? Like, it's already a plastic clamshell. You already need a knife to get into the box. Do you really need to secure it more? Like, this is the worst part of the figure. Just right now, this is the worst part. I can't believe I still have to open that motherfucker. I'm sorry, I know I'm complaining about this a lot, but dude, this packaging, right? It's bad for the consumer and bad for the environment. It's the worst of both worlds. Isn't that just fucking fun? Getting these two out of the box, finally, and they're fine. I got some thoughts, but let's go over what I think is the stronger one first, which is definitely the Batman. Batman has some cool details. Like, I love the fur kind of shoulder pads, the cape is cool, I love the stitched leather to make his cowl, the loincloth, even things like the stones in his gauntlets to give him the usual Batman kind of flow. Couple things I hate. The rock bat symbol, I know that's part of the design. It's a stupid part of the design, it looks bad, I'm sorry. Other than that, like, at least it's a pretty unique Batman. I also like the weapons, just how brutal they look. At the same time, how am I supposed to be excited for another Batman? I know this one's different, and I know it's not a design we've got before, and I also know that, like, this type of concept's been done before in the comics with, like, the Man of Bats and Batman Incorporated, and when Batman was sent throughout time after Final Crisis. So, I understand all of that. I just don't care. I really don't. The head sculpt is pretty cool. I like how scarred he is in his mouth. Dude, I'm sorry. Maybe it'd be different if I had the Robin or the Batgirl, just because I like Robin and Batgirl as characters more, and I have less of them. And I still think this is a really cool Batman. It takes the wind out of the sails that we have yet another Batman, even though this is definitely a unique one. I was really hoping Mr. Freeze was going to be the star of the show here. He was the only one I was interested in picking up when these figures were announced, but he's also pretty bad. Here's my biggest complaint right off the bat, right? He's so much shorter. Now, that doesn't work thematically, that doesn't work aesthetically, and you want me to be honest, it doesn't work biologically. Because when you get down to it, sure, this guy's from 1836, right? But generally speaking, people who have lived in the North American biome have only gotten taller as time's gone on. And you could make the argument that he should be taller than Batman. I don't know. I'm not a biologist, but still. I think it's really weird to have a dude in a suit who Batman can look down on, like Mr. Freeze. Other than that, like, I can see what they're going for. It's like a steampunk Mr. Freeze, but here's the thing, right? There's visual character identity. There's certain aspects of a character that you bring over to every design so that you can tell that it's them, right? Let's look again at Batman. What do you bring with a Batman? You bring the cowl, you bring the ears, things like the gauntlets and the cape. These are things, and even the Bat logo to a lesser extent. These are things that you put on Batman, and they can vary. They can vary in size, style, shape, color, but you keep those around because that is the visual identity of Batman. Mr. Freeze visual's identity, right? When I close my eyes and think of Mr. Freeze, I think of the blue. I think of usually a dome kind of helmet that lets you see the white face underneath. And I think of the ice gun. Well, we look at this Mr. Freeze. We have, this old-timey scuba helmet, which is decently articulated, to be fair. You don't have much blue. You do have the ice gun, but you can't really tell it's the ice gun. Though, to be fair, I do like the backpack on the back. Another big problem is that whereas Batman has standard articulation, Mr. Freeze has the big fig articulation. So, single jointed elbow, single jointed knee. That does not work all that well. Pretty good ankle joints and a toe joint. And, like I said, best piece of articulation on this is the ball joint at the head. But with all that, this is such a kind of a lame figure. It's just going to stand there. It's just going to stand there. To be honest, guys, I don't like how this review has gone at all. Like, I got these guys at the store. I was excited. And I knew that these were figures I wasn't super excited for, but I was like, I want to give them the benefit of the doubt. But I feel like I've just been moaning and complaining this entire episode. There's good stuff here, right? Painting, sculpting, all that's great, as always. But these guys cost, like, I think $5 more than a usual McFarlane Multiverse, because, like, my Multiverse figures typically come out to be about $20. These guys came out to be $25. And I feel like I'm getting less here than I would with a standard Multiverse release. And no, it doesn't help that the packaging was bullshit. And I'm trying to sit back right now and figure out, am I being so mean to these figures just because I hated that packaging so much? And the answer is maybe. But I also don't think I would have been just glowing on these guys were they in the standard boxes. The Batman, maybe. Because as much as I'm kind of tired of getting Batman figures, that one is legitimately really cool, and I like it a lot. And the Mr. Freeze, less so. But, the Mr. Freeze is only half of this review. If I said, do I recommend these, right? The Batman, I do. I do recommend the Batman if you're interested in this, because it's very cool, very well sculpted, very well painted. It would have a unique visual identity on the shelf. Mr. Freeze? Maybe, if you're into, like, this kind of more radical take on the character, as well as just, like, old-timey scuba diver look. It's not a case where I don't like having this figure, it's a case where I don't see Mr. Freeze in this figure, if that makes any sense. I don't have the Robin and the Batgirl. If I ever get the Robin and the Batgirl, I can review them. But in all honesty, I don't necessarily know if I want them now, because the Batman was good, Mr. Freeze was bad. That comes out to be a pretty mediocre experience overall. And even worse, like I said, I don't want to go through those boxes again. I don't, I'm sorry. So with all that said, they're decent. They are a C+ to a B- of DC figures. And I think they're fine if you want an expanded Batman universe shelf, but you could totally pass them if you just need some Hallmark characters.